ॐ अज्ञानतिमिरान्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनाशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मीलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। श्रीचैतन्यमनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूपः कदा मह्यं ददाति स्वपदान्तिकम्। वन्देऽहं श्रीगुरो श्रीयुतापदकमलं श्रीगुरून् वैष्णवांश्च श्रीरूपं साग्रजातं सहगणरघुनाथान्वितं तं सजीवं साद्वैतं सावधूतं परिजनसहितं कृष्णचैतन्यदेवं श्रीराधा कृष्णपादान् सहगणललिता श्रीविशाखान्वितांश्च नमो विष्णुपादाय कृष्णप्रेष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्त स्वामिन्निति नामिने नमस्ते सारस्वते देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेषा शून्यवादी पाश्चात्य देशतारिणे जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंदा श्री अद्वैता गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्त वृंदा हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे Hare Krishna, dear devotees. Welcome to our third session of speaking about Varnasrama Dharma. In our last session, we were reading the introduction to the book, and in that we read, I'll just give you a few highlights so you remember what we read. I'll just quickly read through. So we saw that Prabhupada sent a letter through his secretary, a letter to Hari Prabhu, who was in New Govardhan farm in Australia, and said that on these farms we can demonstrate the full Varnashram system. If these farms become successful, then the whole world will be enveloped by Krishna consciousness. Also, we read self-sufficiency is central to Varnashram. So if you want to introduce Varnashram system, self-sufficiency has to be there. Cow protection and Brahminical culture are the pillars of spiritual advancement. Village organization is an important means for reviving our Krishna consciousness. So village organization means the society must be divided into Brahmana, Kshatriya, Vaishya, Shudra. And divided means then each group will have their specified duties. And also there is a relationship between these groups, how they are going to uh, cooperatively support each other in order to facilitate the advancement of all members towards pure devotional service. So Srila Prabhupada also said Krishna in his natural life is a village boy in Vrindavan. He's satisfied with that village life. So if we call ourselves Krishna conscious, right, followers of Krishna, then we should also be satisfied with simple life in the village. And the role of city temples. If everyone is in the village, then why do we need city temples? The role of city temples is staging ground for organizing Varnashram communities. So that means that's where it begins. All people are living in cities. So first these people have to be attracted. So for that we need a temple in the city. So it is a staging ground from where Varnashram communities will actually be formed. Then also we read about Varnashram College. Varnashram College, we should teach not only spiritual knowledge, but also practical skills. How to give protection to cows, how to till the field and grow food, and others also like Ayurveda, education system, all these things. Leaders will be taught how to properly so Varnashram means it's not just about producing food. Varnashram means all four varnas should be there. So that means there should be training for kshatriyas, how to give protection to the citizens. That training has to be given. Training for vaishyas, how to grow food, how to protect cows. And certainly Brahminical training is there. That is, happening already. but the other Varnas also should receive training. So in a Varnashram college, all 4 Varnas will get training. Then we read about the dangers of an oppressive social system. That in the there is some, we still see some caste system in society, but that caste system is based on birth. So when caste system is based on birth, how it leads to an oppressive social system. You take, especially those who are in the higher castes, who take birth in the higher castes, they oppress those who are in the lower castes, thinking that they are the chosen ones, they are the elite, and they exploit the others. Then we also saw, why don't we see any developed Varnashram communities? We don't see any examples of Varnashram communities. Now, we see farm communities, but we are not really seeing Varnashram community where you have all 4 Varnas trained. We see some farm communities where we are living by, trying to live. But then what will happen when someone attacks that community? Then again, you have to depend on the outside world, isn't it? So self-sufficient means self-sufficient from all sides. So we read why we are not seeing any examples. So the reason is the first generation devotees of ISKCON, they had also tried to start some farm communities, but it was done without proper training, proper preparation. So there were very bad consequences that came out from that. As a result, now they are very skeptical to even, touch on it again because of the bad consequences. So we also saw, but then what is the solution? You run away from Varnashram system thinking that maybe there, not maybe, we saw some bad consequences like, child uh, uh, abuse and women abuse, like that, things happen. So therefore, we should not do Varnashram system. We should stay away from that. But then what is the solution? Now you're going towards the other side, complete materialism, right? So that is also not good. So Varnashram system should be used to promote pure devotional service, and exactly how it has to be done first. That is why the beginning is Varnashrama college. Varnashrama college gives us proper education, how to use this powerful tool to actually come towards pure devotional service. Like you have a knife in your hand, the knife can be abused also, but that doesn't mean you throw away the knife. The knife has to be used to cut vegetables, to cut fruits, and there are so many benefits. But if you misuse it, then the same kitchen knife can end up cutting your finger, right? So you have to use it. You have to know how to use it properly. So for that, we need Varnashram college. Also, we saw, Srila Prabhupada's words are already there in the purports. So why do we, so this book speaking about Varnashram Dharma, should we simply take from the purports? Prabhupada had said everything in the purports. So there we saw what is the importance of focusing on Prabhupada's spoken words in his conversation, in his morning walk, when he's directly speaking, or even in his classes when he's speaking. What is the importance of spoken words? Isn't everything that we need to know already said in Prabhupada's books? So we saw from Prabhupada's own words, right, where Srila Prabhupada is saying that one of the GBCs told Srila Prabhupada, so many people are saying Prabhupada said this, Prabhupada said that, Prabhupada said this. So it is best to simply accept the books and forget about what Prabhupada said, from different devotees. We'll only stick to the books. Then Srila Prabhupada replied, no, what I say in my talks also, not just what I say in my books, but also what I say in talks. Many things I say are not in my books. So then we also saw the significance, how when he's speaking, there is audience in front of him who's asking him some questions. So it becomes more relevant, giving current examples, and also many things come out when there is a live discussion, as opposed to writing commentaries. Then the last thing that we discussed was the evolution of Srila Prabhupada's Varnashram presentation. How Srila Prabhupada presented Varnashram to us. When he first came in the earliest days, Varnashram was presented as an ideal social structure. This is the ideal. But one which is probably not possible for the present age. That's how, in the earliest days, that's how it was presented. Why? Because you can understand, in the earliest days, Srila Prabhupada came here to the West and he was surrounded by the hippie movement and introducing the first class society in that movement. You know, it would have seemed impossible, right? So it is an ideal, certainly. It's not like it's not mentioned, it is mentioned, but it is shown as the ideal social structure, but one which is not possible for the present age, like that in the earliest days. Then, as days passed by, in the middle period of our, when Srila Prabhupada was present on the planet, in the middle period, then how Srila Prabhupada presented Varnashram system? ISKCON's Brahmanas provide the leadership to create a model of Varnashram in which the rest of the world can also be included. That means the Brahmanas should provide the leadership. In ISKCON, the Brahmanas should provide the leadership to create a model of Varnashram. Now, it's not just something which is, which is ideal, but it is not possible. It's not like that. We can do it to set an example, right? The Brahmanas within our movement, they can create a model of Varnashram. So the others can follow, right? Where the rest of the world can also be included. And finally, towards, from 1972 onwards, until 1977, how did Srila Prabhupada present Varnashram? Varnashram is an important preaching tool, right? You can preach Krishna consciousness through Varnashram, and it is an important preaching tool and a structure that has to be implemented. It has to be implemented. It's not just something which is, maybe, or, like an example. No, it has to be implemented. And how we should go about it? Initially, it has to be implemented within ISKCON society with devotees in the Krishna consciousness movement participating at every level. So this is meant for the devotees. They have to start and then it should continue from there. So like this we read in the last session. Now let us continue from there, page 5, and hopefully we will begin also today the chapters one by one. So we will complete the introduction and we'll continue with the chapter wise reading. And at the end of, in the video, in the description box, I give the highlights of what we discussed that day. So if at any time you want to refer or what was discussed in this particular class, you can always just go to the description box. You'll get a gist. If you don't have time to hear the whole thing, you can just read the highlights. Certainly, if you hear, that will be better because you'll get complete, you'll get the complete picture. So let's continue now. The last thing we read was how Srila Prabhupada presented Varnashram at different times, initial days, middle period and later period. Now, next continuation. Right from the beginning of his preaching, Prabhupada believed that an important strategy for spreading Krishna consciousness was to create a body of Brahmanas. That was there from the beginning. We need Brahmanas to guide society. But when we say Varnashram society, we are talking about all 4 Varnas. But in the beginning, Srila Prabhupada would stress on the Brahmanas, because if the Brahmanas are there, they can guide everyone else. So right from the beginning, Prabhupada believed that an important strategy for spreading Krishna consciousness was to create a body of Brahmanas, devotees who were willing to follow strict standards of spiritual discipline and who would devote their lives to studying and conveying the message of the Bhagavad Gita and Srimad Bhagavatam to others. So this is what is expected from Brahmanas. First of all, in their personal lives, They must strictly follow the standards of spiritual discipline, and they must devote their time to studying Srimad Bhagavatam, Bhagavad Gita, Bhakti Shastras, and then transmitting the same to others, conveying the message of Bhagavad Gita, Bhagavatam to others. So one who lives by this standard, he is a Brahmana. So we need such Brahmanas. To spread the Krishna consciousness movement, we need such Brahmanas. The Vedic institution of hereditary Brahmanas. So now, hereditary Brahmanas means by birth, like we saw, right? By birth, someone who takes birth in a Dvivedi family, Trivedi family, Bhattacharya family, he'll be called a Brahmana. So the Vedic institution of hereditary Brahmanas could not be maintained in the modern age. That means they had the title, but they were not living by the standard. What is the standard of Brahmana? As Srila Prabhupada said, you live strictly by spiritual standards, you study the Bhakti Shastras, and then you teach others. This is a Brahmana. But in the modern day, there are hereditary Brahmanas born in a Brahmana family, but they are not living by this principle. They are just doing what everyone else is doing, right? Most people are doing different jobs, going to schools, colleges, universities, getting a job and working in companies. But still they have the title of a Brahmana. So therefore, that title doesn't mean much. It doesn't mean anything, isn't it? So the Vedic institution of hereditary Brahmanas could not be maintained in the modern age. It could not be maintained. He explained to disciples at 1969 Gayatri Mantra initiation in Boston. Everyone, even in India, had to be considered a Shudra due to the absence of the garbhadana samskara ritual sanctifying the conception of a child. So, everyone is actually born a Shudra in Kali Yuga. But by samskara, one can be trained either into a Brahmana, Kshatriya, Vaishya. But otherwise, by birth, everyone, Janmana Jayate Shudra, Samskarat Bhaved Dvija. By Janma, by birth, everyone is a Shudra, but by Samskara, he becomes a Dvija. And when does the Samskara begin? Samskaras begin even before birth, even before the child is conceived actually, even before the mother, she becomes pregnant, Samskara for the child begins, Garbhadana Samskara. So anyone who is born without Garbhadana Samskara, at best that person can be a Shudra, that's all, not beyond that. So whether you are taking birth in Indian families or you're taking birth in the West, wherever it is, if there is no Garbhadan Samskara, then you can accept such a person as belonging to, at best, a Shudra. But even though it was not possible to rely on the Vedic Vidhi in the current age, legitimate Brahmanas could still be created by following the pancaratrika-vidhi or devotional regulations established by the ancient sage Narada Muni and endorsed by the medieval Vaiñsnava saint Sanatana Gosvami in his Hari-bhakti-viläsa, which is accepted Vaisnava smrti or authorized Vaisnava scripture. So for us, this Hari-bhakti-viläsa is our guidebook for the devotee community. So all these days, whatever we were reading, that diagram, I will just show you, because you are new to this, some of you are new to this. So I will just keep showing it a few times until you'll become familiar with this figure. One second. Yeah, this one. See this diagram. So all of us, we should be in this area, or actually we are in this area, but the only thing is we are not really in this area, because in this area you should be doing Daiva Varnasrama Dharma. After coming in the association of a devotee, we should be doing Daiva Varnasrama. Daiva Varnasrama Dharma means Brahmana, Kshatriya, Vaishya duties we are doing according to scripture, because that keeps us in the mode of goodness. And by living in this society of devotees like this, we'll be cultivating Shraddha. Once we get Dhrida Shraddha, we'll go into Shuddha Bhakti. That is the plan. Huh? So now, if we look at what is being said here, Hari-bhakti-viläsa. This book is meant for whom? It is meant for those people who are in Daiva Varnashram system. That means they are not yet pure devotees. Of course, it's meant for devotees. So, do you say that the people who are in Daiva Varnashram Dharma are not devotees? They are devotees, but they are not yet pure devotees. They are aspiring to be pure devotees. So, those who are still aspiring, that means to do pure devotional service, you need Dhrida Shraddha. So until you get that Dhrida Shraddha, you'll be cultivating it. But if you don't have Dhrida Shraddha yet, you have to do karma. That's what Krishna is telling Arjuna also in the 18th chapter. You must do your karma and then you offer that karma to me and simultaneously you think about me. Or you do devotional service, bhajan, whatever we are doing. But we have to do karma. What Hari-bhakti-viläsa tells us is that karma that you are doing, that what type of karma you should do for devotees. And because you'll be offering all that to the Lord, that karma is also not binding you. It is also bhakti. So how much should we do so that we don't become entangled? We don't want to just get caught up in this karma, that karma, and just be fanatic about doing karma. That's not our idea. We are doing karma because we don't have full Shraddha, Dhrida Shraddha in bhakti. Because we still don't have 100% Shraddha in Bhakti, then what will we do if we don't have Shraddha? We will, in Bhakti, then we will do karma or jnana will be doing. So the karma that you're doing, you do very simplified karma, and how that karma can also be doubted in Krishna consciousness. So the samskaras, this is also karma. Karma, there are 5 types of karma. There is Nitya karma, Naimittika karma, Kamya karma, Nishiddha karma, and Prayaschitta karma. 5 types of karma are there. What are the 5 types? Nitya karma, Naimittika karma, Kamya karma, Nishiddha karma, and Prayaschitta karma. So Nitya karma means like chanting. For example, for brahmanas, chanting Gayatri morning, noon, and evening. An example of Nitya karma. Something that you have to do regularly. That is Nitya karma. Naimittika karma means samskaras. That comes under Naimittika karma. That is why I was telling you all this. So what type of samskaras should an aspiring devotee practice? How many samskaras and which samskaras? And also the samskara procedure is pretty elaborate. If you go through the Vedic marga, they'll have very just you take marriage is also samskara. If you see marriages traditionally, marriages can be really elaborate, isn't it? They have marriages for 3 days and so many things they do. So it's not that is wrong, that they're doing it according to the Vedic, injunctions. But our goal is not simply doing karma and getting the result of karma. That's not our goal. Our goal of doing karma is so that we can come into pure devotional service eventually. By doing this karma, we want to come to the mode of goodness where we will be able to build our Shraddha nicely. That's all. So therefore, whatever samskaras we do according to Sanatana Gosvami's guidelines in Hari-bhakti-viläsa. And also there's another book by Gopal Bhatta Goswami called Satkriya Saradipika. So these 2 books are guidelines for the devotees. Satkriya Saradipika and Hari-bhakti-viläsa. They tell us which samskaras are to be followed by devotees. You just follow that much. You don't have to follow more than that. So of course it is not up to you and me that I'll buy a book and I will follow whatever is said there. The standards will be set by the local Vaisnava leader, right? There should be a brahmana, a Vaisnava brahmana locally, because he will see the circumstances, how much of it can be applied, and then he will decide. So when you have a particular community, devotee community, that community will have a brahmana leader, right? Or maybe it will be formed by a group of brahmanas association. So they will study the shastras nicely, and then they will see what is practical within our community, how much are we able to use, and then they will set the guidelines. Now everyone in that community has to live according to those guidelines. like that. That's how it works. So Hari-bhakti-viläsa. So what is Srila Prabhupada saying here? That even though it was not possible to rely on the Vedic Vidhi in the current age, legitimate brahmanas could still be created. So yes, brahmanas we saw. Now in the modern age, brahmanas by birth, what are they doing? They're not doing the duty of a brahmana that a brahmana is supposed to do. Brahmana is supposed to teach everyone what is there in Shastra. He's supposed to teach and guide them. What is the goal of life, right? That brahmanas are not doing in the present age. Brahmanas means the hereditary brahmanas, who are brahmanas by caste, by birth. So they have failed. But what Srila Prabhupada is saying, so that means there are no real brahmanas by birth. If you see, if the brahmanas are not doing that, then that means without brahmanas, the society will have no direction. What should be done? No, there is still a way to create brahmanas by following the pancaratrika-vidhi or devotional regulations established by Srila Narada Muni, right? That is Narada Pancharatra. So by following that, that's what we follow also. We follow both together. So Pancharatra Marga we follow. So this is given by Srila Narada Muni. And it is endorsed by Sanatana Gosvami in his Hari-bhakti-viläsa. So in Hari-bhakti-viläsa, Sanatana Goswami is taking what Narad Muni has given, and now he is giving it to us. When you form your communities, you live by these standards. You can create brahmanas, whatever their birth, train them into brahmanas, and now they should live by those standards throughout their life in society. So Hari-bhakti-viläsa is also an authorized Vaisnava scripture. In offering Brahmana initiation to disciples following the pancaratrika-vidhi method, Prabhupada was continuing the example set by his own spiritual master Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Goswami, who had revived the pancaratrika-vidhi process even in the face of strong protests by India's hereditary brahmanas. So this is not just Srila Prabhupada's, struggle. Even Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, and at the time of Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur also, the caste brahmanas, whom we call smarta brahmanas. Smarta means following the smrti shastras. Smarta brahmanas, who say that brahmana means it's only by birth. So they were opposing, initiating people who had not taken birth in brahmana families, initiating them into brahmanas, was being opposed by these caste brahmanas. They were opposing it. So we are all familiar with that essay written and presented by Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur about who is a Vaisnava, right? Who is a Vaisnava and who is a Brahmana. Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Goswami, who had revived the pancaratrika-vidhi process even in the face of strong protests by India's hereditary brahmanas. Similarly, Srila Prabhupada also offered Brahminical initiation following in the footsteps of his spiritual master. So my dear devotees, try to understand that taking this Brahmana initiation, it is not just like getting a certificate, right, which I can present when I go for a job. It shows well that I have this certificate, this certificate, this certificate. I have covered, and then it shows well on my biodata. That's not the purpose of Brahmin initiation. Brahminical initiation is meant, it is actually saying that now it's like conferring a title on you that now you're a Brahmana. Only when you have the qualities of a Brahmana, that means you're in the mode of goodness, you are given the Brahminical initiation. That means now you should live by the standards of a Brahmana. Personal life, right? As we read initially in this session itself, your personal life should be according to the spiritual standards. You should be studying Srimad Bhagavatam, Bhagavad Gita very scrutinizingly, and you should be teaching the same to others. This is a Brahmana. And for this purpose, Srila Prabhupada was initiating devotees as Brahmanas. I will read out one quote that I came across today. I actually put it on my status also, but I'm just reading it out to you. This is not that Srila Prabhupada, not that everyone has to be a Brahmana. Srila Prabhupada is saying, now that we are more and more trying to implement the Varnasrama Dharma, Varnasrama divisions of society, we should not think that everyone has to become a Brahmana. So initially, in earlier days, what was Srila Prabhupada's focus? We must have Brahmanas because Brahmanas will teach. So he was focusing on Brahmanas. But when he started introducing the Varnashram system as something which has to be practiced now, it has to be implemented in our society. That means some devotees will act as Brahmanas and some devotees will be inclined towards doing Vaishya activities, farming, cow protection, and trade. Others will be interested in other activities. So, Srila Prabhupada is saying, now that we are more and more trying to implement the Varnashram divisions of society, we should not think that everyone has to become a Brahmana. No, it's not that everyone has to take second initiation and become a Brahmana. For example, you are developing a farm there, Prabhupada says. For example, you are developing a farm there. So those who work the farm do not necessarily have to be a Brahmana if they are not inclined to the Brahminical standards. So taking Diksha, Brahminical Diksha means now you have to live by those standards. And if you're not inclined to live by those standards, it's fine. You can still be a devotee. You don't have to take Brahmana Diksha if you're not inclined to live by Brahminical standards. Or if you're taking Brahmana Diksha, you live by that standard. Because you have taken that initiation, now you have to live by Brahminical standard. So those who work the farm do not necessarily have to be a Brahmana. That means you shouldn't feel that after first, now I have to take second, and then it's like, first grade ke baad second grade, third grade, like this I'm making progress. If you don't have that inclination, there's no need. That's the point. That's the whole thing we read in the 18th chapter. Sve sve karmanyabhirataha samsiddhim labhate naraha. By doing according to your swabhava, whatever work you do, you can get perfection by that also. It's not that everyone has to. So Brahmana Diksha means what? Brahmana Diksha means now you will be doing Brahminical activities. So if you are not inclined to doing Brahminical activities, there is no need to take Brahman Diksha. See further what Srila Prabhupada will say. Those who work the farm do not necessarily have to be a Brahmana if they are not inclined to the Brahminical standards. In this way, be careful about awarding the second initiation. Be careful about awarding the second initiation. This is a letter to Sudama, May 26, 1974 in Rome. I'll send it in the group also, so you will have the reference. So it just, again, I had no clue. It was just, they send a bunch of things, different things. And it's not like it's sent only about Varnashram all the time. No. They send various different things in one group. And this morning, I saw this message. And when I started reading what we are going to read today, in speaking about Varnashram, it's the same thing. So anyway, let's continue reading. So talking about who is a Brahmana, right? These Smarta Brahmanas had objected when Shudras were offered Brahminical initiation by Srila Bhakti Siddhanta, and they became more upset later on when Srila Prabhupada began to offer Brahminical initiation to Westerners who, according to their standards, were not, according to whose standards? The Smarta Brahmana standards. According to these Smarta Brahmana standards, the Westerners who were receiving Brahminical initiation were not even up to the level of Shudras. How you are giving them Brahminical initiation if they're not even up to the level of Shudras? But Prabhupada staunchly defended the initiations, citing his spiritual master and Sanatana Gosvami. Furthermore, it was Prabhupada's conviction that women could be included within the parameters of Sanatana Goswami's instructions for Brahminical initiation, and thus he extended the offer of Brahminical initiation to them as well. Yes, right? Even Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur also gave Brahminical initiation to women. But the condition is you have to live by that standard. You have to live by the standard of a Brahmana in your personal life and also study and teach. So, Srila Prabhupada not only defended his giving initiation to the Western men, but also uh, it was Prabhupada's conviction that women could be included within the parameters of Sanatana Goswami's instructions for Brahminical initiation. And thus he extended the offer of Brahminical initiation to them as well. Prabhupada's convictions were validated by tangible results. Everyone from Indian government leaders to Western scholars and police chiefs was impressed that Prabhupada could take Westerners from a culture saturated with illicit sex, drugs, and meat eating and convert them to exemplary followers of Vaishnava culture. So as long as you're living by that standard, certainly there is, you'll start shining, isn't it? There has to be that. But if you give up practicing, then what will happen? Any nice thing you see, we polish for the deities paraphernalia, you polish. If you don't polish, what will happen? If you just leave it there without cleaning, polishing, it will just become so dull, right? So like that, when we live by the practices that are given, then it is visible to everyone also that Brahma Tejas will come if you're actually living by the standards of a Brahmana. So this was visible to even outsiders when Srila Prabhupada was initiating, because everyone was strictly practicing. Prabhupada was proud of his disciples. In a commentary in the fourth canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, he states, preachers in the Krishna consciousness movement have actually experienced that even the Yavanas and Mlechas have taken to spiritual life on the strength of Narada Muni's pancaratrika-vidhi. So we should not forget the vidhi. It is because of this vidhi that even Yavanas and Mlechas are able to take to spiritual life. If you simply, without practicing, if we simply take the name, that is like rubber stamping. There won't be any life in that. But success was not unmitigated. Success was not unmitigated. That means what? Unmitigated means it was growing. Not unmitigated means it is mitigated, isn't it? Two negatives makes positive. Success was not unmitigated means it was mitigated. On one hand, Prabhupada's move to create Brahmanas had produced a core group of devotees who could follow rigid standards of temple living and act as knowledgeable preachers of Krishna conscious philosophy. But on the other hand, a large percentage of those initiated gradually faded out of active participation in Krishna consciousness. So there is also a downside. So positive side is that yes, Srila Prabhupada was able to create some staunch Brahmanas, right? Devotees who were living by the standards of Brahmanas. But others, a large portion of them, even after taking initiation, they started falling away because they were not practicing. They were not practicing. He produced a core, okay, that's over. But on the other hand, a large percentage of those initiated gradually faded out of active participation in Krishna consciousness. They were not able to maintain rigorous Brahminical standards required for living in a temple. For some, temple life was almost like a boot camp in the US Marine Corps. It was a test of endurance. If the Marine Corps slogan was, "Are you good enough to get in?" ISKCON's slogan seemed to be, "Are you good enough to stay in?" So some of them felt that it was too tough to maintain such high standard of lifestyle, Brahminical lifestyle. So if you're living in the temple, you must live by that lifestyle. They could not meet with the expectations. Prabhupada realized that such a strict approach would inhibit most people from adopting Krishna consciousness, right? So if you're not living by a Brahmana standard, then can you not be a devotee? Then maybe many people would fall away, not being able to come to that standard. By March 1974, so the what I read to you today, the quote, that was in May 1974. So see here, by March 1974, we hear him outlining his plans for the creation of a Varnashram college to provide the cornerstone for the development of a Krishna conscious society, which includes positions for the full range of human beings, not just those who could become satisfied as meticulous, austere brahmanas. So this society is not meant only for the brahmanas. Even those who are not brahmanically inclined can also come to Krishna consciousness. They can also come to Krishna consciousness by doing their particular work. That is why by March 1974, we see that Srila Prabhupada is already outlining his plans how to create Varnashram College. Because Varnashram College means there is training not only for Brahmanas, also for Kshatriyas, Vaishyas and Shudras. Reading the conversations that are part of those historic Varnashrama walks, we can tell that this is a new approach for the devotees listening to Prabhupada, isn't it? Until now, all you heard was, if you simply chant Hare Krishna, it is sufficient. I'm neither Brahmana, Kshatriya, Vaishya, Shudra. I'm simply a servant of the servant of the servant of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, of the Master of the Gopis. Who can say that? I'm not Brahmana, Kshatriya, Vaishya, Shudra. One who gets Dhrida Shraddha and one who enters into pure devotional service, he can say, I'm neither Brahman, Kshatriya, Vaishya, Shudra, I'm simply a devotee of the Supreme Lord. But is everyone? Lip service we can do, we can say. But do you have that type of faith in your heart? I'm not a Brahman. Kshatriya means I'm not a woman, I'm not an Indian, I'm not a mother, wife, nothing. I'm out of this. Sarvapadi Vinirmuktam. I don't have any designations. I'm only a servant of Krishna, servant of the servant of the servant of Krishna. Do I have that type of conviction? If you have, then you don't need. You don't need any duties. No Brahman, Kshatriya, Vaishya, Shudra. So on one hand, we don't have that conviction to do Shuddha Bhakti. And we also give up the Dharma, which is given by Shastra. Where we will go? We will fall down, artificially trying to, externally imitate that now I'm a pure devotee. But in my heart, I have all these desires and all these, what you say, identifications with the body. I won't be able to sustain there. That is why they were finding it very difficult to maintain that standard while living in the temple. So then what is the next option for them? Should we just let them go to the wolves, go to the society and then just work for these mlechas? Should we do that? No. Srila Prabhupada said, no, we will have a setup for them where they can still live according to their nature, according to their swabhava. You don't have to be a Brahmana. You don't have to take Brahman initiation. Still you can live by the standards of a devotee. At least you also chant. Chanting Hare Krishna is mandatory for everyone, regardless of who you are. Brahman, Kshatriya, Vaishya, Shudra, it doesn't matter. Women, everyone will chant Hare Krishna. But Brahmana means that's a different, lifestyle is, there are higher expectations. But for others, you don't have to live by that if you're not inclined to. But you must do your particular duty very strictly. So for that, training is required. What type of work you should do, how should your day go, right? So for that, Varnashram college was important. Instead of just leaving them, now either if you're a Brahmana, you stay in ISKCON. If you're not in Brahmana, you're blooped, right? We'll lose so many devotees by that, isn't it? So there's no need. There's no need to give Brahman initiation to everyone. That was the point. If the person does not have such inclination. And if the person has such inclination, regardless of whether you're woman or man, if you have that inclination, you can take, according to Srila Sanatana Gosvami's Hari-bhakti-viläsa. You have that inclination, yes, you can give Brahman initiation even to women. It is so. So Srila Prabhupada did that. So for devotees, it was surprising, right? Now, because now Srila Prabhupada is introducing. That is why Acharya introduces according to, you check the temperature, right? And then according to the temperature, you give the medication. So Acharya can feel the pulse of society. what is needed in that situation, and he will give the medicine or the prescription according to the need. So by 1974, Srila Prabhupada saw that now this is the time to start Varnashram College and let people, devotees, work according to their inclination. And now in his walks also, he's talking about Varnashram. So the devotees who were listening, they thought this was something new. It is a new approach. They're surprised by the idea that Krishna consciousness is not only for Brahmanas, right? You can be not a Brahmana and still be a Krishna conscious devotee. This was a new thing for them. This was the beginning of Prabhupada's deliberate move to establish a total Varnashram structure and not simply to create a group of Brahmanas. Okay? This was the beginning of Prabhupada's deliberate move to establish a total Varnashram structure and not simply to create a group of Brahmanas. 3 years later in Mayapur, in Srila Prabhupada's culminating presentation on Varnashram. 3 years later means 77. That's the year when Srila Prabhupada disappeared. So 3 years later in Mayapur, in Srila Prabhupada's culminating presentation on Varnashram, he emphatically reiterates his conviction that Varnashram is a critical tool for spreading Krishna consciousness. It is not an optional tool. It is a critical tool. It is essential. Considering our present condition, that prescription is given according to the condition of the society. So Srila Prabhupada reiterates his conviction emphatically that Varnashram is a critical tool for spreading Krishna consciousness. In his words, in big scale, you cannot make all of them Brahmanas or sannyasis. So this preaching is for the whole world, for everyone. You don't expect that everyone in the world, is it possible for everyone to chant Hare Krishna at home? It is possible. Yes, everyone can chant regardless of your occupational duty. Chanting is possible for everyone. But if you say, can everyone live by the standard of a Brahmana? Chant the Gayatri Mantra 3 times a day, take bath 3 times a day, worship the deity, and the standards of cleanliness that you have to maintain, the purity, and you have to study every day and you have to teach, worship the deities every day. Can everyone live by this standard? No. If you say this is the standard for anyone to be devotee, most people won't be able to live by that standard. So that means they cannot be devotee. It's not like that. It's not that they cannot be devotee. So in big scale, you cannot make all of them Brahmanas or sannyasis, he explains to disciples. No, that is not possible. This is small scale. Yeah, Brahmanas and sannyasis is a small scale. What percentage of people of the world are we attracting? Very insignificant. But if you want to make the whole human society perfect, then this Krishna consciousness movement should be introduced according to Krishna's instructions. If you want to do it in a large scale for the benefit of the whole human society, right? So if you want to benefit the whole human society, you have to do it according to Krishna's instructions. You see it in Bhagavad Gita, Krishna is speaking. Last 6 chapters, you see, the last 6 chapters. Now we are completing the 18th chapter. In maybe couple of days, we'll finish. And then we will start with 13th chapter again. Systematically, the way we did 18th chapter, like this shloka by shloka, we'll understand the flow. 13, 14, 15, 16, 17. We will understand. You see how Srila Prabhupada, Krishna, is emphasizing the mode of goodness. Because in the mode of goodness, you can actually rise to the spiritual platform. So, Srila Prabhupada is saying, if you want to introduce Krishna consciousness for the whole world, for the whole human society, then the way to do it is, it has to be introduced according to Krishna's instructions. This Krishna consciousness movement should be introduced according to Krishna's instructions. Now we are picking up some of them, the best. That is one thing. But Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said, para upakar. Why only a certain section should be picked up? Let the whole mass of people get the benefit of it. But then it is required to be systematic. Therefore, we have to introduce this Varnashram Dharma. It must be done perfectly. It is possible and people will become happy. When did Srila Prabhupada say this, my dear devotees? 1977. How can we say that this is not important, this is not practical? In 1977, Srila Prabhupada speaks this. Therefore, we have to introduce this Varnashram Dharma. It must be done perfectly. It is possible and people will become happy. Why Srila Prabhupada is saying it is possible? If it is not possible, he would have said it's not possible. He's saying it is possible, but you have to do it. But then it is required to be systematic, not haphazardly, not out of, emotion and with some romantic ideas you have that now we will go and live on the farm and everything is going to be so wonderful. You have to be practical. So for that, training is required. Proper training is required. Just like if you have to go into the battlefield and fight, you cannot just pick up anyone from the street and just, give him a weapon in his hand and throw him in the battlefield and hope that this person will just kill some enemies before dying. If you want to send a soldier into the battlefield, you have to train him up properly. So similarly, if you want to start the Varnashram system, the whole Varnashram system, a community, you have to train the people properly, how this society is going to run. So for that training, we need Varnashrama colleges. And for Varnashrama colleges, we need teachers. And the teachers should be amongst us only. Nobody is going to drop from the sky. So unless we start it, unless we come together and do something about it, it's not going to happen. It's not going to happen. We shouldn't just sit and wait that let someone else come and do it and then I will reap the fruit. No, we'll have to do it ourselves. Whatever little we are able to do, everyone should pitch in. And then we may not be living to actually see the result, but the future generations will. If our ancestors had not planted mango trees for us, would we be enjoying the fruits and all the other trees? They probably, those who planted didn't enjoy the fruit, but they did it for the future. So similarly, we have to pave way, understanding that this is actually going to assist in Mahaprabhu's mission. Continue. But surely devotees within ISKCON are transcendental. Transcendental. His followers suggest, so the followers of Prabhupada, when Prabhupada said this, they're saying, but devotees are transcendental. That means they're beyond Brahman, Kshatriya, Vaishya. They are Vaishnavas. So they are above Varnashram. Surely they will be expected to take up different roles such as Kshatriya, Vaishya or Shudra. Prabhupada disagrees. To become Vaishnava is not so easy. If to become a Vaishnava is so easy, why do so many fall down? So, if you're saying that everyone, we are all transcendental because we are chanting Hare Krishna is transcendental, we have nothing to do with Varnashram system. So everyone is chanting, isn't it? So why there are fall downs? Why there are fall downs? Even after chanting Hare Krishna, why there are fall downs? What does that mean? Srila Prabhupada is challenging. So it's not so easy to be a Vaishnava. That is why we are going back to the definition of who is a Vaishnava, what is Shuddha Bhakti, understand it scrutinizingly. Then, according to your grade, you should act. If you are in 5th grade, you can act like a 5th grader. If you are in college level, you can act like a college level. But being in 5th grade, if you try to imitate a college level person, what will happen? You will fall. So, even though he is proud of his disciples' achievements, that pride doesn't blind him to the fact that the 100% Brahmana approach to make devotees has led to a high dropout rate, right? That means you want to make devotees, then everyone has to come to the standard of a Brahmana, right? So if this is the approach of making devotees, then there is a high dropout rate. Initially, with great enthusiasm, people will come and they're fired up to take Diksha. And after first Diksha, now the system is If you get your Bhakti Shastri, then you can get your first Diksha. So very, very enthusiastically, devotees do Bhakti Shastri. Many, in the last couple of years or something, many devotees are doing Bhakti Shastri. This is wonderful. But they're doing Bhakti Shastri, why? So that you can get your first initiation. That's the motivation. You will have that because I need Diksha, therefore I will do Bhakti Shastri. After I get my Diksha, then what? And now I don't need to. I was even asked when I was studying, Bhakti Shastri, Mataji, you're already initiated, you have your second initiation, why do you need to do Bhakti Shastri? That means doing Bhakti Shastri is meant for getting initiation, that's all. And what will happen after you get your initiation? No need to study because I got my Bhakti Shastri. Then there will be a dropout rate. You understand what Srila Prabhupada is saying here? Initially we are enthusiastic, but afterwards, because the goal is, because the standard is set, you have to get to Brahman Diksha, you have to get, then you will be respected. Oh, Brahman Diksha, this person is Brahman initiated devotee, advanced devotee, right? So for that, now you will try, and after you get that, now I'm relaxed, finished, I got what I needed. Then there's dropout rate after that. That's what is being mentioned here. Some people, some staunch devotees stayed, but most others, there's a high dropout rate. If you make this standard that unless you take Brahman initiation, you cannot become a devotee, then there is a high dropout rate. Why should a Shudra artificially be made a Brahmana? This is the point. If you have a Shudra's mentality, why should that person artificially be made into a Brahmana? After taking Brahmana Diksha also, that person's mentality is the same. I must go and work under someone and earn my livelihood, and I have my goals, how to go higher and higher, climb the corporate ladder, and that's my goal. And after taking Brahman initiation, what does this mean? Why should a Shudra artificially be made a Brahmana? He challenges them. Who's saying? I'm not saying. Prabhupada is saying. See, it's in quote. Prabhupada is saying, why should a Shudra artificially be made a Brahmana? He challenges them. Let him remain a Shudra. And if he follows strictly the rules and regulations of a Shudra, he will be as good as a Brahmana. This is the whole crux. Material mentality is, you go to higher and higher position materially, right? You go promotion, next level. That means now I'm great. This is material mentality. And the same thing creeps into devotional life also. First, I have to get first initiation. Now I'm respected. Now I get second initiation. I'm respected even more. What to speak of if I take sannyas? I'll be respected even more. I become a guru. Now I'll be respected so much more. You're not actually progressing, but instead you stay according to whatever. So that has to be identified, of course, by guru. Your particular swabhava has to be identified, and they will engage you. Guru will engage you, train you. By doing your Shudra's duty, you'll get the same result as a Brahmana, what the Brahmana is getting by his duty. And those who are thinking that the Brahmana is superior to a Shudra and things like that, they have a problem. You do your particular duty, yes. Externally, on the material platform, there's a difference, no doubt. Materially, you cannot equate everyone. Head is head, leg is leg. Leg cannot do head's job. No doubt, you cannot deny that. Head is head, leg is leg. But is it required for the leg to imitate the head and try to become the head? No need. And you cannot also. But you can get the same perfection which the Brahmana is getting by doing your own duty. You do your duty and you can get the highest stage of Krishna consciousness, because even up to Brahmana, that is still on the bodily platform. You're following these dharmas just to come to the stage of Shuddha Bhakti. Once you come to Shuddha Bhakti, it does not matter. You're already on the transcendental platform. The problem now is not being in Shuddha Bhakti, artificially thinking that we are already on the platform of pure devotional service, We don't need anything, but at the same time, we are always trying for higher and higher material goals. This is cheating ourselves. We are not going anywhere. We are not progressing spiritually, and we are getting more and more entangled materially. So why should a Shudra artificially be made a Brahmana? He challenges them. Let him remain a Shudra. And if he follows strictly the rules and regulations of a Shudra, he'll be as good as a Brahmana. Even if he remains a Shudra, he's a Vaishnava. So what is our goal? We want to be Vaishnavas or we want to be Brahmanas? What do you want to be? We want to be Vaishnavas. We want to become a Vaishnava. Vaishnava means a pure devotee of Krishna, a servant of Krishna. That's what we want to be. So that is possible even if you are a Shudra. You can do your Shudra's duty and you can become a Vaishnava. As a Shudra, he can get perfection. So what is the need to now become a Brahmana? If the philosophy for phase one of spreading Krishna consciousness seemed like the Marine Corps slogan, what was that? Are you good enough to get in? That is the Marine Corps slogan in the US. Are you good enough to get in? That means, do you have the qualification? Are you, strong enough to, uh, to, to sustain the hardships? Are you good enough to get in? So if the devotees slogan is like that, the final phase was more like the army slogan. Be all that you can be. Be all that you can be in Varnashram. So instead of saying, are you good enough to get in? The slogan should be all that you can be. That means if you are able to be Shudra, be the best Shudra. If you are able to be a Kshatriya, be the best Kshatriya. If you are able to be a Brahmana, be the best Brahmana. Be all that you can be in Varnashram. And get the highest perfection. By following this, ultimate perfection you can get. Even if you can't be a Brahmana, you can still be a Vaishnava, no matter what your occupation is. This is completely, my dear devotees, this is completely in line with Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur, Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur, Srila Prabhupada, and what is being said here. It is exactly the same thing. There is no change. Every year when we read on the appearance and disappearance day of Srila Bhaktivinoda Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur, we read that famous, presentation on who is a Brahmana, who is a Vaishnava that Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur gave. The Smarta Brahmanas, they were ready for a war when he came, but he went and he glorified the Brahmanas. Oh, the Brahmanas are, the Lord, all the quotes from Shastras where the Lord is glorifying the Brahmanas. They're so dear to the Lord. And they were like very satisfied, the Brahmanas. Oh, he's on our side. And after saying that, then he comes to the real point. But who is a Brahmana? Who is a Brahmana? By taking birth, you become a Brahmana. By wearing a sacred thread, you become a Brahmana. Or even by chanting Gayatri, do you become a Brahmana? Who is a Brahmana? What are the qualities of a Brahmana? Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, Shamo damas tapas shaucham shantir arjavam evacha jnanam vijnanam astikyam brahma karma swabhavajam. Do we have these qualities? But is it required to be a Brahmana to become a Vaishnava? No, it's not required. Kshatriya can be a Vaishnava, Vaishya can be a Vaishnava, Shudra can be a Vaishnava. So, be all that you can be in Varnasrama. Even if you can't be a Brahmana, you can still be a Vaishnava. No matter what your occupation is, you can still get spiritual perfection. Now, don't say no matter what your occupation means, we can do any occupation in this world. I can be doing any work. I can be driving trucks, or I can be, a software professional. I'll be drilling the earth. Whatever work I do, it is all occupation. No. That also we have quotes from Shastra. Vedokta karma. Karma which is enjoined in the scripture, that only. Otherwise it becomes vikarma. Vikarma will not help you in progressing in Krishna consciousness. Karma only you should do. Yes, immediately now because I'm stuck in this situation, then even if you're doing that vikarma, you offer to the Lord, but what should be your consciousness when you're offering? That is also said in Srimad Bhagavatam. What should be your consciousness when you're offering that karma to the Lord? Vikarma. You're doing not that, yeah, the others are not possible. This is all we can do. This is fine. You can do any work and you just chant Hare Krishna, you are fine. We shouldn't speak like that. We should be feeling guilty. We should be feeling terrible that I'm not able to live according to the standards that Krishna is asking me to live by. And we should be praying to Krishna, please give me attraction to your lotus feet, my Lord. The way I'm attracted to these material pleasures, take my heart away from these and pull my heart towards your lotus feet, like that. And with that consciousness, they offer with great regret even the results of their vikarma they offer to the Lord. That type of consciousness should be there if one actually wants to progress in devotional service, even though he is stuck in doing vikarma. But if I say my work is fine, whatever I'm doing, I'm still a devotee because I'm chanting Hare Krishna. That type of attitude will make our heart hard. It will become hard. Hard-hearted person, how will the seed of bhakti sprout in such a hard heart? Heart has to be very soft, very soft. When the soil is nice and soft, then the seed can nicely sprout. Okay. So if no matter what your occupation is, right? Even if you're not a Brahmana, you can still be a Vaisnava no matter what your occupation is. You can still get spiritual perfection and you can still go back to Godhead. Just learn how to serve the Supreme Lord by doing your occupational duty. This is like the basic first karmarpanam. Do karma, and karma means Vedokta karma, and that karma also you offer to the Lord. By offering your karma, how you can worship the Lord, how you can satisfy the Lord, you should learn. Saujanya Mataji is saying it's like the elephant example which takes shower and puts back the dirt again. Exactly, Mataji. Exactly. It's like that. You clean yourself and then go back and then you put dirt on yourself. Then what is the meaning of that cleaning? You'll be cleaning and putting dirt. Then how you are getting cleaner, right? So then you will gain full spiritual knowledge. When you learn how to serve the Lord by your occupational duty, you will gain full spiritual knowledge and full satisfaction because of its magnanimous spirit and the date it was delivered, February 14, 1977. Please remember this date, all of you. February 14th is a very easy date to remember. You all know Valentine's Day. 1977 is a very easy year to remember, the year when Srila Prabhupada disappeared. February 14, 1977. This happened, what Srila Prabhupada said, this conversation, February 14, 1977. Because of its magnanimous spirit and the date it was delivered, this culminating presentation on Varnasrama is sometimes called Prabhupada's Mayapur Valentine. Here then is real love to establish a social system that can bring everyone from most pious to most materialistic back home, back to Godhead. So Varnashram will bring everyone. You are from a nice Brahmana family with a Brahminical background, you can be brought back to Godhead. You are from the most material background, you can also be brought back to Godhead. How? Through this Varnashram system, according to Srila Prabhupada's message given on February 14, 1977. So this introduction is given by the author, Hare Krishna Devi Dasi, on April 29, 1999, Narsimha Chaturdasi in Brunswick, Maine. So tomorrow we will begin the actual chapters. So I'll just show you the table of contents so you'll get an idea how we will proceed. We completed all this in these 3 sessions. We read preface, biographical sketch of Srila Prabhupada, listing of historical farm communities, then conventions that we didn't go through because we can read. Pronunciation also we are familiar. So Varnashrama categories we saw, right? Brahman, Kshatriya, Vaishya, Shudra, Brahmachari, Grihastha, Vanaprastha, Sannyas. Then this is the contents and introduction also we saw. So in table of contents, one topic will be taken. For example, mutual respect in Varnashrama. Then Srila Prabhupada speaking on this topic. We will read about that. Okay, like this, there are different headings, different duties for different kinds of people, spiritual communism, like that. So we will begin with the first one tomorrow, mutual respect in Varnasrama. Okay, we'll start with that tomorrow. So now we can end it here, but if you have some time or if you wish to make some comments, you can please go ahead if you want to share anything. Actually, this is supposed to be a discussion group, but uh, because nobody was really participating, I said though in the beginning that at any time while I'm reading, if you want to say something, just raise your electronic hand and we can start a discussion. But if nobody else is speaking, then I'll just continue reading. That's how it is. Okay. So we will end
Mataji,
here.
tomorrow you will have class. You said Sunday you will do DT or SIP or something, but Sundays you are
What
giving class.
I changed to Saturday because,
Oh,
and
okay.
I'm doing it after this because I
Oh,
thought this continuity has to be there. So now I go and I do my DT worship at this time, 8 o'clock. Instead of doing at that time, I just switched it to
okay.
Saturday.
The Sunday was really good for me because
I know, I remember. When I said that, we were not reading, speaking about
I
Varnashram Dharma
know.
at that time. So I know.
That's okay. I'll hear it afterwards. No worries.
What I can do is, yeah. But even after you come also, you may be busy, right? Like if I set it for like 9 o'clock or something, you will probably still be, and then it will become very late for them in India.
Yeah.
That's the
No,
thing.
7:30 dressing is done. Then by 8 also, if you put, I can still hear. If
Acha,
8, yeah, that will. But I don't know about Indian devotees, right? It will be too
I'll
late for
I'll check with them. So 8 o'clock means
that.
now for
Time
us
that for them will be what? 8, 7, 6:30 or something like that.
6:30 in the evening,
Yeah.
and then later on, like after our daylight saving time changes, it will be 5:30. So let me ask them. Inya Inba, Jayalakshmi Mataji, and I think Soumya Mataji is not here. But is this time better for you, or on Sundays if I went a little later, like at 6:30 in the evening, either 5:30 or 6:30 in the evening, which is better? Inya,
Mataji, it's the same time.
same time is good for you, huh?
Okay.
Jayalakshmi Mataji.
No, Mataji, now also the class ends at 6:30.
It will start at 6:30.
Oh,
It will be
okay.
late for you. You're okay, or is it late for you?
Mataji, anything's fine.
It's fine, huh? Jayalakshmi Mataji?
మాతాజీ
Arun?
మార్నింగ్ మాతాజీ
మార్నింగ్ కాదు. అదే ఇప్పుడు ఈ రోజు జరిగింది చూడండి క్లాసు మార్నింగ్ టైమే, కానీ సండే ఇన్స్టెడ్ ఆఫ్ ఇప్పుడు మీకు ఎన్ని గంటలకు స్టార్ట్ అయింది క్లాసు? 5కి కదా? సో ఇన్స్టెడ్ ఆఫ్ 5, 6:30కి స్టార్ట్ చేస్తే మీకు ఎలాగుంటది? సండే మాత్రమే, ఉట్టి సండేస్.
ఓకే, ఏం లేదు, ప్రాబ్లం లేదులే మాతాజీ.
Problem leda. Okay.
Okay.
So Mataji, Subhadra Mataji, they're saying Sunday is fine for them. And I think here everyone else is fine, right? 8 o'clock, Sunday, 8 o'clock, you're okay? Achit Priya Mataji, Saujanya Mataji, Usha Mataji.
Yes, Mataji.
No
Thank
problem.
you, everyone. Thank you so much.
Sorry. Okay. So Sundays, 8 o'clock we will do. I'll remember. I'll put that.
Thank you,
Thank you.
Mataji. Very much.
Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. Yes, Mataji. Thank you. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Samaveta Gaur Bhakta Vrind ki jai. वाञ्छा कल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्यैव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो हरे कृष्ण।